So I am doing a reading for myself, and I've pulled out 6 cards. Initially, I had pulled out 5, but then one came out flying, literally came out flying at me, and I knew that it was essential for me to bring it out. So I have just turned them over, and I'm looking at them. I'm staring at the pictures. The first one that I pulled out, I'm going to go in that order. So this is the first one that I pulled out, the 5 of Wands. And immediately, as I looked at this picture and studied it, I read these cards in an unconventional way that work 100% for me. And some of it, I do look at the conventional way of reading, but I use my own proper energy to read these cards. So in my personal situation, I see a lot of a battle, if you will. I see my emotions that have been battling between being angry at the situation that I've experienced, being hurt by the situation that I've experienced, and being in mourning about it, being empowered because of it. And so there's a lot of different feelings and emotions that I've been getting from this particular situation that has occurred in my life. And so sometimes one of them is a bit more victorious than another, and vice versa. They don't stay that way. They kind of keep on going back and forth until it just depends on the day. And it makes a lot of sense for me because some days I'm feeling more empowered and I'm kind of taking that anger and saying, screw this. It's a good thing that this happened when it did. And other days I'm mourning the loss of the situation. And so it goes, that's how it goes. That's how the mourning process goes. That's how the recovery process goes. You know, it's a recovery process. And so those are my emotions. And I see that the blue here is communication for me. And I have been communicating. I have been talking with my guides. I've been talking with my therapist. I've been talking to friends. I'm talking to myself, my gods, goddesses, universe, higher self, spirit, about the situation and asking for wisdom, asking for a clear sense of what to do about the situation, what has happened, and expressing how unfair it was. So this bottom portion, there hasn't been much action on my side or the side of the situation itself. No action, definitely not the orange, definitely no creativity to solve the issue. It's mostly just a pure conversation with myself and divinity, spirituality, spirit about what has happened. And I see a lot of green in here. There is love. I see red. There is grounding in some of these feelings. They're very grounded, and others are, I act on emotion, I act on love and compassion. So it makes a lot of sense that I would get this card, and that is my interpretation of this card. The next one that I pulled out, let me look at it real quick. It is the 6 of Pentacles. And so for me, as I'm studying it and I'm getting the energy from it as it speaks to me, the red is my grounding. And the red is in the process that I happen to be right now, where I made a video earlier today when I mentioned that I'm taking this energy and I'm transmuting it into a positive change for I'm taking like the loss and the hurt and the pain and the anger, and I'm transmuting it into my physical health, and I'm transmuting it into financial gain, and I'm transmuting it into positive things for my life. So I feel like this right here equals and represents that grounding energy that's allowing me to transmute, see the coins that this character is giving to my yellow solar plexus chakra, is feeding that energy, and it's allowing myself as a grounded individual, as presently making that conscious choice to ground, is feeding my heart chakra, not my heart chakra, my solar plexus chakra, to get that motivation, transmute that energy into the positivity that I want to see in my life, the changes that I want to see in my life, and no longer linger in this ungrounding battle that I have going on with myself and all my emotions these last 2 months, since the breakup. And so I see here that the other side is blue for the throat chakra for me. And like I said, mentioned here on this one, there's been a lot of communication with spirit, a lot of communication with my higher self. And so it makes another manifestation here that this is another person, another chakra that has been definitely used to create healing and some understanding and some forgiveness, and there is a balance there. He's holding a balance. So I'm very balanced in the fact that I've been communicating with spirit. I've been communicating with self. I can't communicate with him because he made himself not available for me to communicate with. So whether it was in anger or whether it was in healing or whether it was to resolve things or to end things, there has been no communication there. So this has been between me and spirit communicating and now taking action to transmute what was just simple talk, or not simple talk. There's a lot of therapeutic talk there, but just talk, and now transmuting that energy because it can't go to the other person, and we can exchange ideas as to why things crumbled or why things happened the way they did. So with spirit, I transmute this energy into action, and there's a balance for me. That's where I reach my balance, and not forgiveness for the other person, but a balance and healing for myself. And so I see the 5 Pentacles right now. That's abundance, and the abundance of energy that I can draw from this whole situation is what's feeding my will to get myself out of that feeling mode and into action mode that's actually going to bring me positive results and positive abundance into my life. So I can keep reading this card. There's a lot more that it's talking, that it's saying to me. There is more grounding energy than there is the heart chakra energy, but the heart chakra energy is present in the card. And so there is love. It's coming from a self-love, self-care. And that has been my model lately, self-love and self-care. The third one that popped up that I think is very interesting, because I've mentioned it in a reading before, is the Sun Child card. This one, I've mentioned it before in a twin flame reading card, is my twin flame. And this one pops up. It's always a kind of a reminder of what moment in time about my twin flame, Sun Child. And so it's interesting to see it because lately, anytime I do a twin flame wheel reading, I don't really do a twin flame reading, but last time that I did and other times that I've done readings, this card has been inverted and it's been coming to me inverted, which indicates that it's not the time to be dealing or dwelling or thinking or sending energy or receiving energy from twin flame. But today it was right side up. So interesting enough that that happens when I'm no longer in a relationship with someone else whom my soul was attached to. Now that I'm not, then Sunchild pops up, and I'd like to take a look at it for a second and to see why my twin flame has come up. I recently made a very long video talking about how I've let go of my twin flame, and I'm very, very comfortable with that decision. It feels very healthy and very releasing of that yearning and that need and that connection. And right now I'm in a place and I feel like a superhero. I feel like I've transcended transcended the need to physically be in a twin flame relationship, or have that energy that the twin flame relationship provides. And as humans, we desire it on human level, but I feel like I've transcended it. Like, I know that my twin flame and I are eternal, and I know that we will always be connected and we will always reunite in one lifetime or another. And I feel entirely comfortable of having let him go emotionally. And we still have our spiritual connection, and that will never fade. That is a very strong bond, and I'm pretty sure that on a daily basis, him and I do and say things like twins do. We will never know though, but the times that we have been around each other and we have been able to verify with the other, we're still to this day doing things like twins. Um, and that's a beautiful thing. I love knowing that there is someone out there um, that is very is my soul signature and is very connected to me, even if we never speak, or if we just hi passing by kind of thing. There is that love and there is that connection for my twin flame. So it's interesting that my twin flame has popped up on in my reading. One thing that I noticed as I'm talking and touching this card, it has a bent in it, and I didn't know that my card had a bent in it. Makes me wonder what my twin flame is going through physically that has a bent right in the lower back um, of my twin flame. Like perhaps maybe he has a sprain or an injury, or some kind of pain there um, by the kidneys or the back is what I'm thinking. Possibly the stomach, but I for some reason I feel like it's in the back. Um, the sun energy is also my energy, even though this is my twin flame card. The sun energy is my energy as a Leo. Just in case you didn't know this, I'm a Leo. I'm a Leo. And a moon child. But yeah, Leo energy is very prevalent in this home, and so is the sun and the moon. And um, so this is another reminder to myself, if I'm looking beyond the twin flame, this is another reminder of the activation to propel myself forward with this idea that not idea, but I've already started executing it, to self-care, um, to self-love, and transmute that energy, even though I might be in battle still with my feelings, to continue going. This is the center focus of my life right now, is to continue going in the direction that I am right now. It is a very healthy way to move past the situation that is actually pretty shitty of what happened. Um, and I will be performing a cleansing spell and a detaching spell, so I can have a better luck when I allow male presence into my life, because as a super empath, I've allowed really broken men into my life because there's that need to love and nurture somebody who needs me. And at this point in my life, I have a little man in my life that needs me to only bring beautiful, healthy people into his life. And so, even though I never brought my ex, Chris, into our lives, by the sheer fact that he broke my heart, he broke he hurt my son as well, because he saw his mom cry and he cried with me. He's a little empath, and he held me, and my sadness created frustration in him and behaviors, and so there was turmoil in our home, and it's been tapering off and stuff, but there's that energy that still lingers. So it did affect him as a little sensitive child. So yeah, I need a cleansing of myself, of my aura, of my energy, of many different aspects to focus on strictly us at this point, and strictly myself at this point, and not attract such broken men. So let's move on from twin flame. I have a feeling that this card means something else as well related to my twin flame, but I'll let that unfold and I'll keep that to myself, just because um, it's that the twin flame thing is a whole different subject, and I really don't want to get into it here. The next card that I pulled out is the Nine of Wands. There it is. And immediately what I'm getting from it as I'm holding it up, there's a barrier. Those wands are almost making a fence between that broken man, that hurt man right there, and the communication in the background and the love in the background. And the wands, even the wands are trying to sprout growth. Even the wands are trying to sprout life. And the man is uncertain. And the man looks like he has love in his heart. He has passion and creativity, but he is broken. Possibly mental illness. Why he has the bandage around his head. And he looks very sad. He's looking back, like behind him is what he left behind. Like behind the wall that is being constructed or possibly taken down. At this point, his fears and insecurities have constructed that wall, and he's putting up those barriers. So it's him and his illness against communication in the background and love in the background and clarity, purity. At some point, this card could be this person maybe insecurely, but with a little bit more clarity, taking the bars out to take a peek and see if there's still a way to communicate and there's still enough love and care to heal. But at this point, I see a lot of insecurity and I see a lot of brokenness that is building a wall. And like I said, the wands, even the wands have life, even the wands are fruitful. He doesn't realize how fruitful this that is behind here was truly was for him, how good it was for him. Doesn't understand that. Beyond those peaks over there is where he needed to travel. It was a long travel. So he had to take a long journey to get to that love beyond those peaks. And that became too frightening for him, too much. And based on the way he's dressed, there's creativity, there's love. They're very present. He has what it takes to make things positive. He has what it takes to make things positive. He has what it takes to make that journey and confront the situation. But if you see his face, he has so much doubt and he has so much broken pieces of himself, especially lately, that he just doesn't have the confidence to realize he might as well be in rags, tattered rags, because that's a feeling that he carries inside and that's how he sees himself. And there's another part of that. He doesn't necessarily always see himself that way. The situation made him feel that way, but he does see himself as exalted, smarter than the average male, more genuine than the average male, more ahead of the average male in many ways. But his insecurity got the best of him. So that's what this tells me. What the communication tells me. Okay. And so we're going to leave that there. Next card that I got was the Devil inverted. The Devil inverted, or the Devil card, is not, oh my God, it's the Devil card. If you look at it in this way, it's a pentacle, not the goat head. So right now I'm very, very much focusing on my magic. I'm very, very, very much focusing on being a witch and transmuting that energy into the beauty that is. As you can see, there's a couple that's in shackles, binded to each other. And at this time, I feel as though this usually means like an ending to something. At this time, I feel like this is telling me that this relationship right here that was in shackles, that still lingered, that made me feel very conflicted, is it's the shackles, the energy that we still carry with each other about it is erasing, is detaching. And of course, I'm going to do more, like I said, some magic work to detach further from and let go of this energy. But it's a beautiful thing to see that from this chaos that happened the way that it did, um, slowly and on its own, it's detaching and letting go for us to have clarity and not to have this battle going on in my mind, and possibly because I mean, even though he made the choice to do what he did, there's a lot of conflict in there. There has to be, there's karmic, so much karmic energy in doing something like that to someone, to somebody. And especially with the amount of time that we knew each other, years, and the innocent, pure energy of a little baby that called him father, that called him dada. Um, there is so much karmic energy there that it's going to mess with your soul. It's going to mess with you in a way that is going to haunt you for a very long time. And the thing with that, it comes in cyclical times. It everything you touch turns sour because you have that karmic retribution that you must pay. So detaching energetically from each other at this point is going to be a good thing for both of us to get some kind of release, to wipe it away, to feel some kind of normalcy again, and not feel like we're bound to each other, even though this horrible thing happened. And in this case, the powers that be are assisting us. So there might be a bit of an attachment left between us, because we were soulmates and there is energy there and there will always be energy there. But again, I feel like maybe in the future we might have some kind of connection with each other, something very simple, something very nothing intense anymore, nothing that attaches or binds us to each other, but we will always have, maybe it's just the karmic soul love for each other that will return back to its pure and loving state, um, and not this darkness that happened because of the way things went down. And the last card that flew out at me, as I thought I was down with 5 cards. Before I read the 6th card, I'm going to read the 5 cards, and this is very interesting, these numbers. Numerology, number 5. And then the number 5 usually indicates someone who is full of energy, but unable to channel it responsibly. Yeah, that has been a big part of my life. The number 5, the number brings adaptability, yes, independence of thought, yes, and action, and an unwillingness to completely conform. That is definitely me. The number 5 can be used to increase versatility and independence, but people must guard against an overwhelming desire for change so as to not be consumed by variations and thus unable to maintain happiness without it. The number 5 as a person. If numbers were people, they would share many qualities with the extreme personalities of the gods, like Hades and Hermes. People tend to be a combination of many numbers, so it is rare to know someone who truly lives up to one number's personality. If the number 5 were a person, she would be a freedom loving and independent child of the creative number 3 and the motherly number 2. Number 5 is commonly referred to as the number of humanity. Human beings have 5 fingers, 5 toes, 5 appendages, if the head is included, 5 senses, and 5 major systems of the body. She is noted for independence, versatility, rebellion, and a daring nature. She tends to attract people who are eccentric and don't blend in with the social demands of the world. The number 5 is unpredictable, and it is in her nature to be in constant motion and to enjoy all the subtle and extreme changes of the world. To keep pace with the change of the world, the number 5 changes her mind often, which is perhaps why she rarely chooses sides in a debate, regardless of her opinionated nature. She usually has a much easier time adapting to quick changes than other numbers. That's very true. On the negative side, she can be a daredevil, though she won't allow herself to be part of any club or cult, or yeah, or at least not allow herself to be consumed by one. Due to her extreme tolerance for change, it may be difficult for her to plan ahead beyond tomorrow or to be satisfied with anything long term. While her adventurous nature can be refreshing, it can bring about some intense instances of irresponsible, independent action. The number 5 is all about random and dynamic energy. And in order for her to become successful in this lifetime, she must learn to channel her energy and discipline herself in her endeavors. Okay, so I'm getting so much from this. Just reading that tells me so much. So that number is very important to me, and this makes a lot of sense when it when I'm reading it, when it talks about a lot of the things that really are a part of my personality. And if you ever try to date me, you would totally agree with what I just read. I am a Leo. I'm a fire sign. I'm also a moon child. I'm a water sign, so I'm also very intuitive. But I'm very active. I'm the first one to come out with a creative idea to a solution to a problem. So that's great and wonderful when it comes to problem solving and being adventurous. Like in this situation with this relationship that I was about to have. I was scared of it, but I was diving into it, and it was going to be an adventure, and it was going to be discovery, and it was exciting. So I was ready for that. Not everybody can handle number 5 because, as you can see, this scared my partner at the time very much so much so that he built a wall that he is hiding behind, and it kind of uh, broke him in a way because he used a lot of his energy for this situation, and to do something like that, it requires you to break. So while he heals, whether he's healing or he's just putting it aside, either way, at one point or another, he's going to have to heal because, like I said, there's a lot of karmic retribution there. And if he doesn't start the healing process, everything around him is just going to be mucky. Regardless of how great something looks, it's not going to end well because he still has a lot of karmic retribution. Like let's say this lion just hovering over him of karmic retribution that he must fix. So for this broken soul here, he is obviously not a number 5, and so this great adventure traveling such a far distance for this love to get to the prize behind it, to get to that place of love and joy and communication and energy and vibrance, that was very scary. And that was he wasn't a person that could jump in and dive in his insecurities and his fears consumed him because he's a different kind of energy. And I do respect that about him. That was something that I liked his energy because it was contrary to mine, and I feel like there was a balance there. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And so that's the number 5. The number 5 is very much indication of, hey, take all of this energy that you're feeling right now, the anger energy and the hurt energy and the mourning energy, and I just hit my funny bone there. Take all this energy and transmute it the way it is. It's another indication that I'm on the right path with my goals, with my ideas, which really I'm connected to spirit at all times. So I get downloads. I can't claim that these ideas are of self. These ideas come to me from my guides, my higher self, my angels, archangels, God, universe, goddess, universe, my ancestors, which are really connected. I'm really connecting with on a stronger basis. So much personal growth and development and understanding has come to me in the past while, and I'm very excited about that. I feel like my magic and my knowledge and my understanding and my wisdom are growing on an exponential level. So yeah, 2020 has been a good year in a lot of ways, even if this was such a blow and setback. So the cards that flew at me now, card number 6, inverted as well, if it's the 5 of Swords. Now, right side up, it tells kind of a sad story. It's someone that might have looked like they won a battle, and someone else walks away, and they kind of won the battle. There's another person in the background crying, it seems like, even further away from the swords, from the abundance, from the victor. So it seems like, oh, hey, look at you. You won. To the victor go the swords in this situation, but that's not the case here. The case here is inverted. The case here, for me, for my personal story, for the way that I read the cards, for the way that I communicate with my guides, because I'm a very creative person. I'm a very visually artistic person. This is why I read the cards the way that I do. The clouds are parting to open that communication. So the misunderstandings, the questionings, the whys are all over this card. The cloudiness, the muck, what was lost in the fog is all there. And it's interesting because I told my therapist that the other day I was working, I was in the middle of work and minding my own business, focused on my job. It was a busy day. And all of a sudden, I got these chills, these strong chills. It was a wave of them, and they consumed my body. And they hit me in a certain way that I know that it's spirit. I know that it's a moment of spirituality coming through me, like a download or a connection with somebody. And the moment that that was physically affecting my body, I got in my third eye, Chris, and I got, I miss you. Now, I don't know if that I miss you, because I felt it when I said, when my third eye said, I miss you, it consumed me. And like the chills became even more intense. And so that feeling of I miss you, that feeling of longing lingered for the rest of the afternoon as I worked and stuff. And I actually cried. I cried and I cried and I allowed myself to cry. Instead of stopping myself, I allowed myself to cry about it, which was really interesting because all last week and before that situation happened, I felt like strong and empowered and like I was moving on from that. Not because I was distracted with someone else or distracted with work. I just felt like I was moving on from that. So for it to hit me the way that it did on Tuesday, today is Thursday, was very interesting. And then it just, for the rest of the afternoon, I had actually yesterday, it happened yesterday. So for the rest of the afternoon, I was kind of in a sad and I miss you mode. So I'm not saying that that's coming from him. That could be very well me channeling some energy. I'm not saying I'm channeling him at all. I'm not saying he's missing me, but I think it's a lingering between the two of us. The what still binds us together, what's coming undone. Let's put that here. That still, I think he might have tapped into something personal of mine, whether it be social media or whether it be a picture on his phone or something recently, that made it so I could feel him. And whether maybe he was deleting my pictures from his phone or taking himself off some kind of social media of mine or something, it taps into our energy. And for me, I wasn't the one who broke us. For me, I still have love for him. It would represent and manifest in me as I miss you. So yeah, I'm not saying that it was his. Um, that is on my end how I would interpret that. So the card again, going back to it, it's that gray muckiness, that confusion, that fog, that dream state that made no sense, that had me confused, that it didn't explain anything, that just confusion, non-explanation, no reason, absurdity of why the situation happened the way it did. It's clearing out. So that's clearing out my voice coming through, a lot of blue in there, love coming through, grounding coming through, the action coming through, the swords. I'm looking at the swords right now. He's holding 3 of them, and then the 2 on the floor. I feel like I'm collecting again, collecting my thoughts, collecting my emotions, and saying goodbye to, I said goodbye to my twin flame. He was behind here. Very important person for me for a very long time. He still is, but I'm not crazy about connecting with that energy like us twin flames happen to do and want and be when we're in the spiritual path. I just fell. This one. So I feel like this is like my twin flame back here, black here, back here, and then this is my most recent. I don't really have a nickname for him. Maybe in the future I will. Maybe I'll call him the LARPer, because yes, he was a LARPer. So this is me collecting my soul pieces, calling my soul pieces back, and saying goodbye to the lovers, and soul energies, and not farewell, never see you again. Nothing in the physical, but more in the emotional, the social, the spiritual connection. Just honoring that. I see this as a very positive card. I see this as a very healing card in the way that it's demonstrating to me that I'm moving on from this. But what will linger will always be that soul connection. And that's all that matters. These 2 guys are action. See that? They're both wearing yellow. He's got some creative, sensual energy. And him back here, he's tormented. He's got some dark pieces he needs to work. And again, I see the back. Darkness right in the back. I think my twin flame must be having some back problems, some back issues, some back pain, something going on, which is another reason why he popped up. that is my reading for myself about the situation that I'm currently in, and how it's manifesting in my life. And it's beautiful to see the cards kind of give me that pat in the back to say, you're doing a great job. This is exactly the path that you need to be walking right now. And this is exactly the attitude that you need to have about it. And this is where the wisdom and the growth and self-care, self-love, and discipline, and then come through, and you transmute that energy into something beautiful. And all of this pays off, you guys. It really does. I mean, it's really shitty to go through something like this, but that's life. And we are only made stronger when we, instead of going about it like, fuck it, I'm just going to become an alcoholic and drink my problems away, or I'm just going to channel this into working out excessively and or taking it out on myself. We can transmute it into a positive way, and create beauty from that pain. Um, I created a song. One of my lyrical poetry pieces came from my pain, and I'm sure, no doubt, other things will as well, when I have the time. But there is beauty from transmuting that pain into, and then there's growth into the growth that you want to see, the positivity that you want to see in your life. So I do readings for people if you ever need a reading for whatever your specific situation is. As you can see, I am very unique in the way that I do readings, but you can ask anybody that I've ever done a reading for, and they're 100% just like my spells, just like my magic. And I don't mean to toot my horn, but I have my guides and my higher self and my goddess and goddesses and my angels and God universe and goddess universe and my ancestors to thank for all the blessings and all the magic that resides within this vessel and around me. So I do readings. Contact me if you would like a reading, and I'll put my email there somewhere in the description so you can contact me. Thank you for tuning in.